Thank you for tuning to another episode of the Traveling Hoopers podcast. I am your host, Alan Pettigrew, and in front of me is my best friend in the world, Calvin McGowan. Go ahead and tell the people more about
What's
yourself.
up, everybody? Once again, it's good to be here as always. And we got a little bit to talk about. I think should make for some interesting conversation.
I do. Let's go ahead and jump into our first topic. Kansas beats undefeated Baylor in
Well,
Big 12 play.
yeah, I
He's
guess they're not undefeated anymore, though. So
formally undefeated. Formally undefeated.
formally.
All right. So Baylor at number 2, who's been destroying teams all year, finally falls to number 17, Kansas. In Calvin, I got to call you out on this earlier because you said you were surprised that it would be Kansas that would take them down. Please explain a little bit more.
Honestly, most of what it comes down to is just like if I was to pick a team like in the conference that would have been able to get Baylor, it wouldn't have been Kansas. Not necessarily because like Kansas isn't good, even though like they're not as good as they usually are, right? But like just because like for most of the year, I think like Texas is ranked below them now. But like for most of the year, like Texas has been a better team.
Yeah.
I think West Virginia is currently in like the top 10. It's like, well, in fairness, I think that game got canceled or something, postponed. But it's just like there's some teams that have kind of been playing better than Kansas over the course of the year that I would have been like they're probably more likely to get Baylor. But that's why you play the game.
Yeah, exactly. But this was like a weirdly good still Baylor game. Like even though they lost by like 13 points, like when you look at the stats, they did a really good job of stifling Kansas's defense at some point. But Kansas just made a lot of shots. Like Kansas shot 51% from the field, but they only had 49 attempts, which is kind of ridiculous. But when you look at the rebounding battle, it actually makes a ton of sense. Uh, both teams did really good on like the offensive boards. Baylor had 11, Kansas had 12, but Kansas had 43 rebounds
But, yeah,
to Baylor's 25.
Baylor. Oh, and another interesting thing, Kansas also apparently turned the ball over 14 times. Baylor only turned it over 3.
Like this is like by the numbers outside of like shooting because they couldn't hit the broadside of the bar from anywhere on the court with the 6 of 26 shooting from 3-point line for 23%, and then we're looking at 23 of 66 for 35%.
Like it was a rough game for Baylor.
Yeah, but the fact that you like as far as production goes, they like chopped off 25% of Kansas's shots. Like Kansas averages like 66 shots a game. They got 49. Like this is I'm surprised they lost after looking at the numbers, but when you look at the way Kansas's team is made up, even though they're not like super good this year or like talented, I don't know why we keep doing that. Like not all of those dudes are like 3 or 4-star recruits at the bare minimum. But like the shortest dude that they play regularly is like 6'1". Like their starting lineup for this game was Marcus Garrett, who's 6'4", 6'5", Abaji, who's 6'5", Christian Braun, who's about 6'6". They got Jaylen Wilson starting at the 4, who's 6'8", and then they got Devin McCormick, who's 6'10". That's a big lineup. That's NBA size on your starters. And then you got Mitch Lightfoot coming off the bench at 6'10". Bryce Thompson is back at 6'5". And then Tristan in Runa. Like I don't mean to butcher his name, but I your boys from Missouri. We don't get names like this. But even that dude is 6'9". Like there's a lot of size on this Kansas team, and Baylor isn't exactly made up the same way. they start 4 guards. Like Mark Vital is like a really big dude at like 6'5", all that big back and whatnot, but is he really going to stop David McCormick? And if he does start David McCormick, then you also got to worry about Jaylen Wilson, who can take you inside and out. And then everybody else is just kind of like has the NBA size. Like you kind of get one over on that size advantage, and I think that's where we see like that big rebound differential. Like that's nuts. Really impressed that Baylor got like basically half of their rebounds are offensive rebounds from that game. That's a really weird stat that I can't quite wrap my head around.
Like, I don't know, but it's also just I don't know, it's kind of a weird game. Granted, like maybe what also affected it is I guess Baylor's had multiple periods in season where like they more or less had to stop a lot of their stuff because of like COVID stuff, and like that might have played a role in their not being able to shoot. I'm just saying, but like they also, but another thing is like they like Kansas beat them here, but Kansas also lost to them earlier in the season.
Yeah.
And like they've been beating up on folks all season pretty much. So I don't know, but if you're Kansas, it's like a win's a win. It is what it is. Like you take it, you go on.
As a Kansas fan, I was there through the crazy almost 2-decade streak of just winning conference championship after conference championship. I don't know when the next time we're going to win a conference championship. Just like looking at how we've been recruiting, like, yes, we always have the same size. We always have like really skilled players. Like everybody that I listed they can do a lot. They work on both sides of the floor. But it's just kind of been a minute since we've had like one of those ridiculous recruiting classes that we were getting for a while. You remember when we was getting like Andrew Wiggins and stuff? Like when that was kind of normal. Like this was the place for 5-star forwards and big men who wanted to develop. And it's still forwards and guys who want to develop. It's just a different caliber of dude. And I feel like Texas is caught up on the recruiting trail. Mike Boynton and what they're doing down in Oklahoma, they're going to be able to steal dudes for years to come, especially with this Dallas to Oklahoma State pipeline. It's ridiculous. And then what? Baylor is not going to slow down anytime soon. And some of the recruits that we're hearing about down this way, if those dudes go to Baylor in 2022, outside of the crazy recruiting class that they're about to have this year, I don't know the next time Kansas really gets a chance to, dominate Big 12 play. I think they are always going to be contenders in our minds, but I think the ship might have sailed for the next 4 to 5 years unless recruiting changes.
I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
Like, at least as far as the recruiting class for next year is currently ranked at 38th on 24/7 Sports, which I don't know. I'm a little surprised by, but like Michigan's done some really good recruiting. They have some players coming that I've gotten to see and I like. Florida State's is up there. Villanova, because Villanova, I guess. Kentucky, Louisville, yeah. Memphis, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's just like Colorado supposedly has a better recruiting class than them right now.
I'm usually really up on like who's Kansas's commit is. Like I don't know who they have inked right now, to be completely honest with you. Like I think it's a guard, but I'm not sure who or even like where he's ranked in.
So all the dudes that they currently have committed are considered to be power forwards,
Okay.
but a 6'9" Zach Clements, 6'7" KJ Adams, and a Sidney Curry out of JUCO, 6'8".
All right. So Sidney Curry is actually the only dude from that list I do not know. Um, I have watched Zach Clemens intimately for like the past 2 weeks with like different things for Sunrise Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And KJ Adams is another Texas kid. So I've watched that dude extensively, probably over the past like 2 summers. Um, they're both going to be really good. I really want to see KJ diversify his game a little bit more outside of the bully ball, because I think at 6'6" it's going to be really hard for him to dominate the same way, or because I think he's going to still be really effective despite the size. Just for like a full role in what I would like to see out of his career and what he can do with his athleticism, definitely want to see him move to the forward. But Zach Clements, if anybody likes Mitch Lightfoot, like I do, I got a soft spot for Lightfoot. That was like one of the last recruiting classes. I was like, I like this little Lightfoot kid. But if you like what Mitch Lightfoot does from like a body perspective, 6'10", like just ramp that up with Zach Clements. Because that dude can shoot in moves like a gazelle at 6'10". Like he's fun. But that is, again, those are not the game-changing dudes where I think that changes Kansas's outlook to be the top of the Big 12. Okay. Next time.
It might just be a wait and see thing, because like some dude you turn out to be like under recruited or under ranked and what have you.
Yeah.
And so like who knows, maybe they get there. And also something that I saw with like Wiseman, for example, is like dudes can come in freshman year looking a lot better than they did as seniors in high school.
Very true. Very true. And I could definitely see that happening for either one of them. Zach is in a great program with Sunrise Christian, and KJ is just, that boy's an animal. So if he just needs to, if somebody's telling him he need to go do something, I think he can do that. All right. Let's shift gears over to the NBA and talk about the saddest thing ever for anybody on a bad team who's coaching, getting fired. Atlanta fired their coach today.
Yep. Atlanta dismissed their coach, Lloyd Pierce. Granted, Atlanta's a dumpster fire, kind of, but like it's a team full of young players and other like I'm not sure what they expected this man to do. I think was like your Trae Young is in what, like his third year, right?
Right.
Right. Like he's in like his third year. Collins, I think, is also in his third year.
I believe Collins is in his fourth.
Okay. It's like they're good. I guess you have. I don't know who they have outside of them.
They got
I'm not gonna pretend.
Reddish is in his second year. Hoyter, I believe he's in his third year. I don't know what them boys in Atlanta's doing. I try not to watch teams that lose habitually or their dying wish is based on one player. I don't really like watching that too much. So I can't tell you what Atlanta doing besides losing. That's consistent. I'll tell you that.
Right. Their current record is 14-20.
They're trying though. 14-20.
Yeah.
That's way better than what they were doing a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And you remember when Atlanta was out here winning like 66 games?
Yes, I do. And if memory serves, it was one of those where it was like they got good, but like the people putting the team together didn't expect them to be good like that. Like I think the only other team I can think of that was kind of like that was Toronto,
Yeah.
like before they had Kawhi for that one season. It was just kind of like, oh, they're good now. Okay, I guess we're here.
Oh yeah, the year where we was like, oh, it was just LeBron. Oh, that sucks. Yeah,
Like,
we're really gonna have to look at that more fondly in the future. How LeBron really just crushed them boys' souls for like 4 years straight. That's the real reason why they was crying. When
he did
Harden
that to the
crazy.
entire East. It wasn't just them; it was everybody. It was
It's
them.
it's personal though. It was like 4 years in a row. Like directly, he was like, I got to do this to you. Like everybody else's collateral damage, you should take this personally.
Like, I mean, it's also like it was LeBron, and like, granted, you can look back on it and be like, obviously, like LeBron was, just gonna like go to the finals and whatever. But like, on the happening of things, you don't think about it like it. But like, LeBron, like having LeBron on your team is functionally a ticket to the finals.
It really is. But
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
It,
it's no, I'm just kind of looking at their team: Bogdanovic, Capella, Collins, Dunn, uh,
wait,
Fernando, huh?
Chris Dunn?
Yeah.
Hmm. So I had no idea he was still in the league. I do understand he's still fairly young, but I had no idea he was still in the league.
Someone who I didn't realize was still in the league until like I think a week or two ago, was Cameron Payne.
Cameron Payne got good. Like, not like super good, but like backup, like at least a backup level good.
Right.
And like a solid backup at that. Like, it was weird.
It was like the thing is I remember reading an article, I think right after he'd gotten traded to the Bulls, I think. And like I guess the reporter talked to somebody on the Bulls and they're like, as soon as we saw him practice, we knew he wasn't an NBA player. Like,
Hey, that's sad, but do you understand how bad scouting has to be for you to say that and you drafted him with the 13th pick?
fairness, I think the Thunder drafted him though.
Yeah.
Like,
Like that's
in,
a glaring miss.
I mean, in fairness though, in the long game, it wasn't that big of a miss. Because like he's still in the league and he's actually solid.
It's not a miss for him. He did what he was supposed to do. He got that 4 years. It was like, okay, I know I'm not good for these two. I'm gonna come back on that fourth one and be real nice. That's what he did. Now the Thunder, on the other hand, who had to pay him,
Well,
they failed.
yeah,
He
but they were gonna pay somebody.
Why not Cameron Payne, right?
Hey, but this, yeah, this roster collectively doesn't inspire much confidence. Getting a look at it, I mean, like it doesn't. All right, where's that? Bruno Fernando, Gallinari, Brandon Goodwin, Solomon Hill, Kevin Horter, DeAndre Hunter, Nathan Knight, Skylar Mays.
Who is Nathan Knight?
I don't know. I assume this is his first year in the league, or like or maybe he's a two-way player or something.
Okay,
Because
where's
like
he?
he played at William and Mary. Like they had to go looking for him.
Bro, that name was just such a stark contrast to everything we were saying. I was like, Nathan Knight. That doesn't. Never heard this name before.
Onyeka Nkongwu, Cam Reddish, Rajon Rondo, Tony Snell, and Trey Young. It's just it kind of, and like a lot of these dudes are young,
Yeah.
so like the fact that they're not good makes a lot of sense actually.
Bro, that being an NBA head coach seems like a thankless job, especially at the I hate to say this, the lower levels of the NBA where franchises are habitually bad and like it's not much you can do, it seems like. Like you you got to do it for the experience and the connections, which is great, and the money. But as a person who just doesn't like to be fired,
Like,
that's got to be a hard pill to swallow. It's like, hey, can you tell me anybody who's good outside of him?
is like, and this is like my just general opinion from like various stuff I've run across over the years, is that like one of the things about being an NBA head coach is that ultimately a good chunk of whether or not you get to keep your job is determined by whether or not your GM is any good at his, right? Um, like in general, like if, for example, to win a ring, you pretty much have to have at least one like all-star like level player. Of course, your chances go up with more all-stars on your team, but you need at least one. Like if you don't have one, you're probably not winning, right? You're not like you've got no shot. Um, but also like the thing is a lot of like just the number of wins at the end of a season. A lot of that. I'm not gonna say all of it. And in fairness, I think coaches matter more on like postseason
Yeah.
and such, where you got to start like mixing and matching players. But like a lot of in terms of like the wins of a team are can be equated to who you like who the roster who's on the roster.
Yeah.
Like I think I think it was Scorecasting, a book that I've referenced a couple times. It's kind of at least the one that I looked at is kind of outdated now. But like for example, the Phil Jackson, who's considered to be the best NBA coach of all time, like based on like their math, like that they explained to you or whatever, that he added on like he was good for like 11 extra wins, which like can is the difference between being a good team and a mediocre or like slightly below par team or like being good versus being great. But it's not going to turn like it's not going to make the Sacramento Kings a good basketball team.
You could have just said sugar in the shit.
I
Because it's
mean,
the same thing. It's
yeah,
the same thing. You can't do it.
basically, basically. Um, and like and like one of the things is, and like I've and like this has happened a couple of times. I know most recently I think it happened to Dwayne Casey, and like I guess it worked out for Toronto because like they got a ring, but they fired him after he won Coach of the Year,
Yeah.
right? And I find it kind of odd that folks didn't kind of want to be like, oh, he wasn't that good, but like if you left him and you swapped out DeRozan for Kawhi, you probably still end up with a ring, like. Because that's basically all that changed between teams, is the coach and who your best player is, by and large. Um, Couldn't to say Nick Nurse is bad. I don't think he's a bad coach. Just that, like, I'm just saying I don't like. But like, the thing is, as a coach, they're also in a position where they are kind of the scapegoat, right? Like, the thing is, if the team is trash, ultimately it's gonna, at the end of the day, ultimately it kind of comes down to one of two people, three if you include the owner, but a lot of owners kind of stay out of the way if they're smart, and you know which ones aren't because like you just know, right?
Dolan.
But like, huh?
Dolan.
Yes. But like ultimately it kind of comes down to the GM and the head coach, right? Because granted, the head coach, in addition to like doing the X's and O's things, also a lot of responsibility towards like making sure talent develops and whatever, and like putting dudes in a position to maximize their abilities and all of that. But like, if things are going sideways, right? The GM's not going to say like I should be fired, and if they're not going to say that, there's really only one other dude they can blame for real, and that's the dude on the sideline. So it's it's every bit a thankless job, really. But it's just kind of, and it's just kind of like the thing is, it's a like the thing is if you're like if the team is good, you're probably not getting the praise like that, and if the team is trash, you're getting every single ounce of the blame. The GM might, but usually that takes years, and by that point, you're already out of a job.
Exactly.
Like, so it was just one of those things. And like I I feel like there was another team we talked about who like just fired their coach out of the blue.
Um,
Um, I
Minnesota,
don't,
and that, yeah, Minnesota did
yeah,
that
yeah,
a couple
yeah,
weeks.
yeah. And and the thing is, one for me, like, it's just kind of like, why did you like? Why is it like a GM or whatever? Did you expect this to like help? Right? Like, for one, like like you're not really gonna be able to get a new guy for real. All the dudes who you might want to get are currently in the middle of doing their job somewhere. Either either they're on the bench for another team in the league, or they're on a bench for a different team in a different league, probably the NCAA. Um, and so it's just like my team is terrible. Let me fire the head coach in the middle of the season. That should make things better. Doesn't seem like good logic to me. It's just kind of like now they have no head coach. It's like, yeah, the assistant can step in, but it's just kind of like he's kind of like it's just like straight into the like he might as well just be like the new head coach, straight into the fire. No time to implement your stuff for real, to get a real handle on things. And now you're down one extra coach,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and it's also just like, are you hoping like the team is gonna win more games? Like it's probably not. And like the thing is, again, another thing from scorecasting is like in general, after about 20 games into the season, the the standings aren't going to change that much. Like dudes, like teams kind of are where they are. So like Atlanta, well, it's in the East. It might sneak into the playoffs maybe with a little bit of luck and some good play from everybody from now until the season ends. But like, there's no saving the Timberwolves. Like, there's not. And like you just hope that your draft pick is what that you keep the draft pick this year. What I think they've correct me if I'm wrong, their draft pick is owned by someone else, but it's protected for like top 3 or something.
Yeah, they gonna get top 4. It's gonna happen. It's gonna be so funny. I can't wait. I can't wait. I've been saying this the entire time. When the Warriors end up with Jonathan Kuminga, I'm gonna be so mad.
Like
I'm gonna be so mad. They're gonna get either him, Suggs, or Jaylen Green. But I digress.
who would I take if I was the Warriors? And that's a question for another time. Because
Yeah.
like they took Wiseman because like it just made entirely too much sense not to. Which, but I don't know if they do for the second time through.
If we're talking about building for the future, I go ahead and take Kuminga. Kuminga is so so big, so athletic, so talented that I honestly think if worst comes to worst, on his very bare minimum, he's you can have him like a backup small ball 4. And as good as he is at defense already, it would be awful for him to basically be coached by Draymond for like 3 more years. And I mean awful as in what it would mean for everybody else. Because it's already such a good package. If he can get it through the ears, he already seems to be like a really intelligent kid and picks like different things up. If Draymond is able to mold Wiseman and Kuminga into like really solid defenders, it's going to be really, really, really ugly for um, we're basically just going to see a good transition period with everybody healthy, and we're just going to see Warriors be good again as long as their primes can eke out a little longer. And if not, they just pass the torch on to a really good duo, which is not fun for me. But I didn't get this as a Thunder fan. I didn't get to pass the torch. We just left.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But what was that Dwayne Casey quote
Hmm.
that you were saying? Like he coached the team like the day he
No. So are we talking about with the Atlanta's coach?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
not
So,
Casey. Ooh. Lloyd.
I'm like, so like apparently, like the like one of the players found out that the coach was fired from Twitter. Like, I guess like they didn't get any heads up, and he had coached the team in practice in Miami, or like he. Matter of fact, this stuff's today. He coached the team in practice in Miami today. So yeah, like I guess this is it's like this is. Oh, also I think I've just pulled up. They just lost to Miami,
Of course.
of course, but yeah, it's just I don't know. It's kind of actually the general handling of some of this stuff is kind of just tragic. It's just like, and this is, and like I think I've seen stuff like Draymond. I think having some issues with like how front offices handle like transactions and whatever. But like just and granted, I'm not going to pretend to understand every little detail of what he's attempting to get at, but it's kind of just. I don't think it's too much to ask if you expect like players and coaches and whatever to maintain a certain level of professionalism that like especially as like a player, like I'm not the last person to know that I'm being traded. Like I don't think that's too much to ask. Granted, it'd be kind of stressful. Like, am I getting traded today? But like, it'd be finding out that you were even on the trade block when you get traded immediately in the post game interview, like that.
Hey, ain't nothing worse than what happened to Harrison Barnes a couple years ago.
I don't even remember what
He
happened.
got traded mid game.
I don't think.
Like he played in the game. And then they
Like,
at like halftime they was like, take the jersey off. Like
but
it was wild.
like, but it's just like the it's like given the nature of the game and everything, as I'm thinking like kind of thinking out loud, like basketball players and also coaches are treated surprisingly disposably. It's just like it's just I don't know. It's just like if you're one like it's just kind of like why fire a coach? Like it's not gonna help you at this point. Like if you just don't like him and that's why you're in the process of just be why'd y'all fire him? I don't like him. Like which even though this is never stated, like for example, I just kind of assume that's why like Hollins got fired or whatever, or like they didn't renew his contract or whatever with the Grizzlies. Like I don't like they just I think ownership just didn't like him. I also blame Jorger for losing playoff games that we shouldn't have lost, but that's a whole separate conversation.
What
But
we're supposed to lose. Okay.
it's just like they didn't close games that felt like they would have closed under Hollins.
Okay.
Yeah. In particular, I'm talking about playoff games.
Okay. I see.
Yeah.
Uh,
Regardless, though, it's just one of those, I don't know, facts of the business, if you will. Um,
that's why they pay you millions, right? So you can sop up the tears with your money.
I guess so. It's just like,
Mhm.
I'm miserable, but at least I'm comfortable. Which, in fairness, if you're that miserable, probably isn't that much of a consolation. But you got a roof over your head.
Hey, and if you do it right, you can have a room where you just have little wads of money, where you just have money fights and you just throw it at each other. Why'd you
That
credit?
actually sounds like it
Yeah.
probably hurt.
You said what?
It actually kind of sounds like it would hurt.
It is what it
So,
is. You're already in pain, baby. Go ahead,
I
let.
guess.
This way you can hide your tears under physical pain. that we all know is emotional. It's okay, baby. Wipe it off with this $100 bill.
What we were originally talking about, I feel like I'm going way off.
Oh, coaching, getting fired. I mean, this is exactly what's supposed to happen after you get fired. You're supposed to go down a deep rabbit hole of what just happened. Talk about it. Move on with your life, and then probably go fill out job applications. Because, you might need to do that. You didn't get paid millions today.
I guess. It's like part of me wants to. I feel like I should take shots at Tyronn Lue here, but like he's done nothing. It's just like he still has a job. Like he still has a head coaching job.
That's what happened when you coach LeBron twice. You get to continue to have jobs because you're a winner.
Supposedly,
you were a winner. You won. You had a goat, but you won. That's what matters, right?
I suppose, but like correlation is not the same as causation.
I can't wait for that to actually happen with Phil Jackson. Mm-hmm. I can't wait when we're like so far removed from what Phil Jackson is, where someone brings up is like, was Phil Jackson really that good? Like that's going to entertain me. I can't wait till we get to that future where I'm just like, oof, y'all boys got to do some history.
That would be an interesting conversation. It's just like, yeah, he was. It's just like, yeah, he had really good players. Like, yes, he was that good.
I just thought about answering that question in like 20 years with like some kids that don't understand LeBron. That literally made me break out in cold sweats and brought tears to my eyes. I am not ready for that conversation.
I see it. It's just like, I don't know. You're like coaching a little league team. One of them's like, I heard Tyronn Lue was like a great coach. Like, no, let me sit you down right quick. Let's hold up practice. Hold up, y'all. Hold the ball. No, he was not. He got what rings he got off the back of the greatest player of all time. He did not coach that team. LeBron coached that team.
Ty Lue. I really hope I really hope the Clippers win. I really hope the Clippers win. Just so that doesn't actually happen. No, I'm still going to. It was like, oh, he went from the GOAT to like the third best player in the league. Yeah, that makes it easier for me to not be worried about this. But let's go ahead and start wrapping this up. Before we do, we are going to go ahead and congratulate the first-time All-Stars. Congratulations. What's up?
Mm-hmm. No, I'm just like, congratulations. Woo.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm going to clap you announce their names.
Okay, cool. Jaylen Brown, Zach Lavine, Julius, Randle, and Zion Williamson.
Woo! Congratulations, guys. You deserve it. Like, you are all having terrific years. Julius Randle, I remember watching you in your Ballers Life mixtapes as like a kid when I was supposed to be paying attention in marketing class. Baby, you know what? I was out here watching NBA players, future NBA players. So, super big on that. Zach Lavine, I think Zach Lavine is like a year older than I am graduating class. So I saw him do all of those crazy dunks before he was doing it in the NBA. Who else? Jaylen Brown?
Jaylen Brown and Zion Williamson.
Zion, you're new. You're very new. Congratulations. Jaylen Brown. Did not watch you as much. I think I was already in college. I wasn't trying to make myself feel bad about these 17-year-olds about to make more money than I was. As I was pulling up to my $10 job, Apple job, $10 an hour Apple job. Nah, couldn't do it. But proud of all of you.
Williamson set to become the fourth youngest player to play in the All-Star game, behind Kobe, LeBron, and Magic.
Wow. I'm actually really surprised Blake Griffin isn't on that list. But then again, Blake Griffin was like 2 years removed, 2 years in college, and then rookie year injury. So is that like 23 or so?
Yeah, it's put him about 22, 23.
Yeah. But Calvin, I think that is it. You got anything else you want to add?
I just want to throw this in here because I just found out, even though it happened like a week and a half ago. But you know how I was over like earlier, like weeks and weeks ago, I was complaining about um, Memphis women's basketball and the fact that the team is so like the coach apparently retired abruptly, just like in the middle of the season. In fairness, like her contract wasn't going to get renewed. They've been bad for a while.
Yeah.
Um, but like I don't know, it's just kind of like she's not any good. She's not there anymore. So, but it did seem kind of weird to just like retire in the middle of the season. Like
Yeah.
you could just like in like postseasons, like you could at least finish it out. Like y'all probably aren't going to the tournament. Not the way you have them set up. You're not going to the tournament, not going to the WNIT, but like you could at least finish the season out.
Yeah. At least make it through conference play. So.
Yeah.
But with that sad news being said, let's go ahead and get out of here. Thank you for watching another episode of the Traveling Hoopers podcast. I have been your host, Alan Pettigrew, and my friend Calvin McGowan will sign us out of here.
Once again, everyone, it's a pleasure to be here. If you listen to the end, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Of course, you can listen to us wherever you listen to your podcast. If you are on joining us from YouTube, like, share, subscribe, leave something down in the comments. Matter of fact, in the comments, who are some of your favorite coaches that you don't think get enough love? This could be like NBA, college, shoot some like EuroLeague team somewhere. I don't know. I like learning new things, but yeah. So like, who are some really good coaches y'all think don't have enough attention paid to them? But with that also, you can find us on Twitter. And have a good rest of the week.